Working with our partners at Reveal from the Center for Investigative Reporting, the Mercury News, and KQED, we analyzed 500,000 property records for 2018, and we found that Stanford University is by far the largest landowner in Silicon Valley. The university's $19.7 billion in assets include its main campus, commercial offices, open land, even a shopping center. But in recent years, Stanford has expanded into nearby communities, buying up dozens of homes and making sure you'll never be able to live there unless you work for Stanford. Vacant homes sitting empty for months, even years. An image you would never expect to see during a housing crisis in Silicon Valley.
So they bought this house about a year ago. It has been empty ever since.
In a hot real estate market, these Palo Alto homes are all dormant, and we discovered they're all owned by Stanford University.
They buy these houses and leave them empty for up to years.
Longtime resident Priya Graves took us on a tour through her College Terrace neighborhood in Palo Alto.
Very old zoning map.
Where she and other residents started tracking homes purchased by Stanford years ago.
There's homeless in this area, and yet, you know, they've got all these properties that they're leaving empty.
According to university officials, in 2010, Stanford started buying houses like this one as part of its new ground lease program for its faculty and staff. Under the program rules, Stanford keeps the land, but allows employees to buy the house at about half the market rate. Stanford tells us this program serves as an important incentive to help recruit some of the top minds from around the world. But in a region already short on housing, neighbors say the program helps make Palo Alto even more exclusive by taking houses off the open market.
I don't think we want the entire neighborhood bought up by Stanford.
Stanford officials tell us they own 37 homes in Palo Alto near its campus. As of September, 22 of those homes were vacant and undergoing renovations or waiting to be sold to staff, according to university records.
And that's one of the things that some of my neighbors are saying, is that Stanford clearly intends to buy up the entire neighborhood and complete the work that Leland was not able to.
When railroad mogul Leland Stanford donated 8,000 acres of farmland to found the university, he stipulated that any land owned by Stanford could never be sold to the public, a tradition that continues to this day. To give you an idea of how much land we're talking about, we mapped out every parcel in the county owned by Stanford. Records show the university's property dwarfs other large landowners like Google and Apple. College Terrace remains one of the few spots in the area that Stanford does not completely own.
There's a light in every back garden.
But Graves and other members of her neighborhood association worry that could change.
I feel that they're trying to turn it into a faculty ghetto.
We reached out to Stanford University to ask them about their overall housing strategy and responsibilities. After initially agreeing to an on-camera interview, university officials then backed out, agreeing only to talk on the record, but off camera. In that meeting, representatives from Stanford faculty, housing, and community relations divisions blamed Palo Alto City and Santa Clara County elected officials for the current situation. Stanford officials also told us they would love to build enough housing for all their faculty, but they say it can take up to 15 years just to get one project approved by local government. Meantime, they're forced to buy what housing is already built and available.
We don't turn down housing projects. Right? We approve everything that comes in front of us.
Palo Alto Mayor Eric Filsef disagrees with Stanford University and says his city would not turn down a proposal to build any new housing from any developer.
The reality is that it's more of an economic issue, right? I mean, the economics favor other kinds of development than residential.
Still, Filsef does believe that government officials could do more to encourage landowners to build homes instead of offices.
Stanford is a private institution, you know, and it shares a lot of characteristics with the tech giants, right? With Google and Facebook, and Stanford has 25,000 people working there and so forth. It's the interaction between government and private sector.
Stanford officials point out that they are currently seeking county approval to build more than 3,000 new additional housing units on existing land by 2035. But until then, residents fear that Stanford will continue to take these already existing homes off the market for anyone but people connected with the university.
They are the largest landowner. And so the fact that they keep wanting to keep growing, I think we need to maybe say no.
On Friday, Stanford withdrew its application to build additional new housing after learning a majority of Santa Clara County supervisors were indeed going to just say no and vote against the plan, mainly because they said the housing did not match the expanded office and academic space as part of the proposal. You can see our full list of Silicon Valley's top property owners and an interactive map of what exactly they own. It's all on our website at nbcbayarea.com/investigations.